Welcome to another episode of the Engineering Influence podcast by the American Council of Engineering Companies. My name is Shreya Jain, and I'm pleased to be joined by Sarah McEwen, our Young Professional of the Year awardee. Congratulations, Sarah, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Glad to do this.
So what first inspired you to pursue a career in engineering?
So I think one of the other finalists and I were chatting earlier, but I come from a family of engineers. My mom's a software engineer, former branch chief at Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville. My dad worked for Jacobs, and then my sister's biomedical, my husband's structural, cousins, uncles. It was either be a doctor, an engineer, or a math teacher. So kind of picked the one that best fit me. I really fought it for a while. I did some, high school internships with law firms just to try to be different, but it came down to problem solving skills. And I think a lot of that's just ingrained in how your engineering parents may have raised you.
I come from a family of engineers and I ended up in comms and marketing. So I really fought back against that one. Yeah. But you come from a family of engineers and that, pushed you towards problem solving and stuff. What made you decide that engineering was the best way for that problem solving? Because law leads to problem solving capabilities as well.
When I was in high school, we had a work study program. And so I worked for my mom's office. And I also worked with the mechanical engineering department at the University of Alabama, Birmingham. So we were just doing some different research. And I was just, kind of a grunt, but helping out and learning. And I thought the solving of the problems through more of like the physical aspects and somewhat structural solutions they were working on was most interesting. And then in my other work study, I did work at a law firm, but I almost fell asleep during a deposition. So I was like, I think we kind of see a clear winner.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was considering law, my dad brought home one of his lawyer friends and I almost fell asleep in the conversation I had with him. I was like, okay, we're good on that one.
Yeah, it's not all courtroom drama.
No, I had been watching Suits at the time, clearly.
Yeah.
So you are currently the hydraulics, the H&H lead. So what pushed you to do that specialization?
So when I was at Mississippi State University, they really focused on a broad spectrum of civil engineering. So you really touched on everything before you graduated. But as I was just taking the classes, naturally, I kind of gravitated more to the water resource and environmental classes. And then it kind of was just when I left, I went to a multidisciplinary engineering firm and I was exposed to a couple different areas of the discipline, but water resources and kind of the modeling, numerical modeling of hydraulic river systems. That was just the thing that was the most fun for me because there's still a lot of unknowns. You still have like a little bit of black magic in the software. So just kind of problem solving, but having to have that good basis in the physics to understand and interpret the modeling results felt kind of still fun, a little bit of a challenge.
Absolutely. And because it's something in the environment, you're doing so much good for the community as well. Has there been like a specific project that was especially gratifying to you?
Well, we're currently working on a project for the city of Moss Point on the coast of Mississippi. And it's something that I think will be really impactful once we're done. We really are mapping their entire stormwater network. We're using funds that they wouldn't have had available if it wasn't for, unfortunately, some natural disasters. But we're really hopeful that with stakeholder engagement, this advanced numerical modeling, really this asset management of their entire stormwater system, we'll be able to pinpoint and relieve, both nuisance flooding and larger event flooding in their community. So to me, that's when you get out and meet the neighbors and you're able to see, okay, what are their problems? What are their issues? And you can, use your skills to maybe make their day-to-day better.
100%. And that's the part of engineering that gets so overlooked. I think a central theme of this conference has been highlighting the work that engineers do, because when engineers do their job well, then no one's going to notice. It's only when like a bridge collapses or something like that happens that people turn to engineers. Right?
Exactly. So a lot of we serve as one of the city engineers for Moss Point. So when there's a flooding issue, they get a call and they kind of flag it. So we're hopeful that we can use that knowledge when things aren't going well. So now that they have some more substantial funds to remediate it, we'll be able to help them out so then they don't have to worry about it, but hopefully also work with the schools to teach them the how and the why and maintenance kind of side of things too.
Absolutely. And so were there any, switching gears a little bit, because you are our Young Professional awardee, were there any specific mentors or specific turning points in your career that you thought really, really helped you?
I think, obviously having my mom as an engineer has been a big support, just seeing her and her career, especially as like a working mom, seeing her navigate all of that and work up through to become branch chief was, it never felt like it was impossible. It never felt like it was something that it couldn't be done. So I never assumed I couldn't go into engineering or specifically civil engineering, because I just saw my mom as one of the first kind of software engineers in her area and working in very male-dominated fields. But I've been lucky to have a lot of great bosses and support. I've never felt resistance, anything but, just the ability and freedom to do whatever was needed to get the projects done. So my first boss was, I guess, really Margie Dean in Jackson. And she was just such a great support and a mentor. And again, another working mom that showed me you can do it all. You can do it your way. You don't have to judge yourself based on anyone else. You can kind of find your path and don't be afraid to ask for what you need to be successful.
Exactly. I think having those like role models and having those people around you that are showing you it can be done truly makes such a big difference, especially when you see peers around you who might not have that. And it really does make a huge difference. What advice would you have to the current younger generation of engineers coming in?
I would say don't be afraid to make mistakes. There's a careful balance that we try to work with our engineers in training is, challenging them, stretching them, not to the panic zone, like Deborah talked about this morning, but giving them enough to go on, trying to realize what their strengths are, and then talk to them about diving enough in on your own, using those things you would have learned in school to push yourself forward. But then when you get to a stopping point, there's nothing wrong with asking for help or assistance or just asking for clarity or being curious about the why and how you do things. So I would just say, a little bit like the speaker yesterday, be curious, be like Ted Lasso, be curious, ask the questions, but also don't be afraid to fail. And hopefully you'll be at a company that supports you and, doesn't want you to fail, but wants you to challenge yourself. And there's a comfortable space enough to try new things.
Exactly. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've noticed is being at a company that allows you to try new things, even if they might not always pan out, and never shooting down ideas allows you to be more confident in expressing those ideas and knowing that even if, it doesn't work out, at least we tried it. And now we know it doesn't work out.
Yeah. Or at least trying to figure out the why behind why that might not be the solution to the problem. I know I bounce a lot of ideas off of more senior engineers than myself with okay, I have this crazy idea. Here's what I was thinking. And then they'll give me the context of their experience to be like, okay, well, we tried this and this is why this didn't work. So is there another try at that option or it helps me see, oh, okay, I see why that's not realistic or maybe that doesn't work. So it's putting it out there, getting feedback, and then making sure that you're in a company that's receptive and supportive and, again, can challenge you, but that careful balance of both.
Exactly. Challenging you to keep your ideas fresh and still alive, I think is just so absolutely vital. Thank you so much for being here, Sarah. We really appreciate your time. Are there any final thoughts that you have?
I'm just really appreciative to ACEC, specifically ACEC Mississippi and Craig Carter for putting me up for the award and really encouraging me to pursue this nomination. I've gotten a lot out of this conference. Initially, I wasn't sure if it was going to be the kind of conference that really caters to young professionals as well as maybe some of the even younger engineers. But I think, going forward, I see a lot of things from this and ACEC that can really be beneficial and hopefully we'll implement within our firm itself.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Sarah, once again on winning the award. We hope to see you at conferences in the future. And we thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Once again, this has been another episode of the Engineering Influence podcast by the American Council of Engineering Companies. Make sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.